Hey everybody, it's Beth. Today I'm using 4 of these glass jars from Dollar Tree. They're 14-ounce canning jars. I removed the lids. I won't be using those. And then I'm taking twine and I'm wrapping it around the top rim of each of the jars and knot that a couple times and trim up each of the tails. And then I'm taking this 2.5-inch wired burlap ribbon I got from Dollar Tree. I wrap it around one of the jars, making sure that it'll overlap a little bit. Trim that up, and then I cut 3 more pieces. I then will be stenciling on a letter to each of the ribbons using the stencil I got from Dollar Tree. I'm stenciling the word fall, so 1 letter on each ribbon. I'm using black chalk paint and a stencil brush, giving it a couple coats. On the letter A, I have to use a small paintbrush and fill in the gaps left by the stencil. Once those are done and dry, I take each one and wrap it around one of the jars and hot glue it into place. I then am making little twine flowers. I just wrap some twine around my fingers a few times, about 5 or 6, depending on what size you want them. I pull that off my hand and then tie some twine around the center of that loop and cut off the excess. And then glue that to the knot on each of the jars. So you'll have 2 of these little loops on each one. They will be glued on top of each other, going in opposite directions, and then fan out the loops so they look more like flowers. And then trim up these picks I got from Walmart. I'm using 3 or 4, depending on the size of the picks. I take the stems and I'm wrapping some twine around that, tying it nice and tight. I then take that twine and wrap it all the way down, hot glue it on the bottom, and then wrap the twine all the way back up and hot glue it at the end. I make 4 sets of those, and I was originally going to just leave them in the jars like this, but I thought it looked a little too plain, so I do end up adding raffia in the jars, and you can't really see the stem, so you can definitely skip that step if you add the raffia. And just take a bunch of raffia and push it in the jar, trim up the pieces that are too long, just making sure that it's all inside the jar, and then place that pick inside each one. And that is it for this project. Thank you so much for watching.